So now we have both of your past faith, they're going to hit $1 trillion in net assets in the next 20 years. $1 trillion.
And point out, because that was one of the things that I thought was fascinating, when you said that the financial organization that was started, Ensign Peak, was started in the 90s. Yeah, in 98, and that they immediately made it an auxiliary. So you've got a financial organization that is a church.
Well, and you think about it, like, again, I'm gonna give the LDS Church some credit. Mormons are very streamlined and efficient. They would always save for a rainy day, and that's not a bad thing for a corporation, because this is what we try to hammer in the show. This isn't a church. This is a religious corporation. It is a corporate entity. And we have to understand that every church that has tax exempt status is a corporation. They are a business. Very few people will call it a business. And that, I think, is the biggest hiccup in the whole system. Because when you can't call it a business, you won't call molesting a child a criminal failure. You'll call it a moral failure. You won't call wire fraud a criminal failure. You'll call it a moral failure. So we have to call it a business and say, hey, this is a business that needs to be regulated. They had a couple billion sitting in the LDS Church, sitting in their accounts in the late 90s. And so they were like, hey, we've got a lot of rainy day funds. We should invest this. So I think they started Ensign in 98. And so they filed it as an auxiliary, and they had a couple billion. And they immediately started investigating into shell companies, because the SEC, if you have over 100 million invested in the stock market, they want to know. Because if you have over 100 million, you could start kind of dictating stocks and really hurting the stock market. Flash forward to David Nielsen, and I think 2019, they had 100 and something billion at that point that no one knew about in the markets. Today, they have 206 billion. Yeah, it's incredible. Their fund, the Widows Might Report has a great analogy. They call it escape velocity.